Keep yourself in the loop of everything football. Listen to Alex and Jeremiah on the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
Hello there, I'm Jeremiah.
I am Alex, always and forever here.
Dedicated to college and NFL football. The latest football news on and off the field. NFL draft trade rumors. We've got you covered from the NFL, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC, and everything else in between. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
Thank you for tuning in to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, where we discuss the latest news, rumors, and games of the NFL and college football from the latest signs of this year's breakout stars and all of the news in between. As always, I'm Alex.
And I'm Jeremiah.
Hey, man, what's going on?
What's going on?
Man, it is a special show today. You know
why?
why?
Why is it so special? Tell people why.
Football starts today.
Yeah.
Man, NFL kicks off the regular season at 5:30 Pacific time, 8:30 Eastern time. Man, we got a Super Bowl rematch.
Yeah.
Denver Broncos hosting Super Bowl losers, Carolina Panthers.
Yes. Yes. With a new quarterback.
Yeah, we're going to get into that in depth. We're going to preview the game, talk about what's different and new about this matchup as opposed to the Super Bowl. It's quite a notable one.
It's pretty different.
It's pretty different.
Yeah.
And then we're going from there. We're going to talk also about the AP Top 25 updated poll from this week. And we're going to start a new drive as well, Jeremiah. I'm sorry, new segment, Jeremiah. I almost ruined it because what's it called?
The Final Drive.
And then Jeremiah's pretty much what's going to happen is Jeremiah's going to be talking, and then every once in a while, like I'm going to blow a whistle really hard, and he's going to have to call it. He's going to have to call a timeout.
Okay, no, basically what the Final Drive is, we don't know if we're going to do this at the end of the week or not, but it's basically going to be a collection of stories we didn't have time to talk about this week. And there's some big news that broke today that we might mention later in the show. So stay tuned for that, guys. Stay tuned. Stay tuned
indeed.
But we have to start with the AP Top 25. Let's get into it, Alex, because there's some major changes to the poll. Some major changes. Teams dropping out. Teams dropping in the rankings. Mm-hmm. And teams going up in the rankings.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let's cover the top 10. Currently, as it stands, we have Alabama still at number 1. Clemson still at number 2. That's about as similar as it gets, okay? It doesn't really change from there. Number 3, we have former number 4, Florida State, coming off their big win on Monday over Ole Miss. We have Ohio State at 4, formerly at 6. Michigan at 5, formerly at 7. The big jump, in which we talked about on Monday's Tuesday's show a little bit.
This is a big jump, yes.
Houston, man.
Yeah, coming in at number 6. Ooh. Wow. To be honest with you, I did not expect them to make that kind of jump, even by being a number 3 team, because usually Group of 5 conference teams don't usually make a big jump like that off of week 1. But
it's a weird weeks like week 1 through 6 is always.
I'm telling you right now, if Oklahoma ends up, consistently playing good,
they'll get back up there.
Houston, I might have an actual chance to be, they might bust a bracket here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Be the first bracket buster in the NCAA football playoff.
Well, I was talking about it yesterday in the sports podcast, and so I'll finish the top 10, and I'll explain to you what we're talking about. Stanford comes in at 7, formerly at 8. Formerly number 14, Washington's now 8. Georgia moves up 9 spots from 18 to 9. And Wisconsin from unranked to 10.
Yeah.
Now, with Houston, I was saying I could have seen them at 7, and Stanford been ahead of them.
Yeah,
because Stanford was higher already.
That part I did not get.
They beat somebody about level competition, also ranked. It was a good game, but I could have imagined Stanford being at 6. I could even have seen Washington being maybe at 8, and then Houston.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Interesting.
Stanford doesn't get any love, man.
Yeah.
They just don't get. I don't get it. Like, what does Stanford have to do to show the playoff committee that they deserve to be at least a top 5, top 4 team? What do they have to do?
I don't know, man.
what I feel like they've done everything. Like even if they go undefeated, they're not even going to be in the top 5.
Yeah. And then we also said, say as you see the top 6 now, right? You got Bama, Clemson, Florida State, Ohio State, Michigan, Houston. Ohio State and Michigan have to play each other at one point this year. The loser of that game, if Houston keeps, all these teams keep playing at this level, whoever loses that game, I can see Houston jumping
The only way
into the top 5 for the first time in a long time.
If Oklahoma, the opponent that
the previous number 3 that
the
they
previous number
defeated.
3 that the Cougars defeated, last weekend. If Oklahoma, if they keep losing, that quality of a win might not be so good anymore.
Yeah.
But if Oklahoma,
does shows they weren't some fluke 3.
Yeah. That they're not just a fluke this year, and then Baker Mayfield is coming back and playing well again. And if Louisville plays who's also ranked, he also is higher on this poll.
Yeah, we'll finish it out.
Yeah, but so if Louisville ends up continuing playing well, and then by the time Houston plays Louisville, and then Houston wins that game, then I think their chances of being a more realistic playoff contender could happen. Yeah. But it all depends on the other teams in front of them.
Yeah, that's the tough part.
All it is, and the people have to be, and they also have to pass the eye test. They got to defeat the opponents by 50 points.
Yeah,
they have to, man.
And at the end of the day, it's also all up to the weirdos at the Associated Press.
Yeah.
But let's continue the countdown. Another team that went from unranked to now ranked is Texas at number 11.
I think that's the first time Texas is ranked in a Charlie Strong era. I think it is.
It is, yeah. And they obviously coming off their big win in double overtime over Notre Dame. So that's big for them. Big 12, ranked number 11.
That is a huge jump. Huge.
We have Michigan State, who pretty much is one of the only other teams that stayed at their ranking. I think there's one more. 12-12 from last week to this week. Louisville, like you said, moved up from 19 to 13 with their win. Oklahoma dropped all the way from 3 to 14. TCU dropped 2 spots, 13 to 15. Iowa gained 1 spot from 17 to 16. Tennessee won, but ended up dropping from 9 to 17.
Well, they had a tough time defeating Appalachian State.
They did.
First game.
So understandable as to why they dropped.
Which I'm not surprised that they dropped. I kind of knew they were.
Going you think at least a little, not necessarily 8, but
they do have a big matchup coming up this weekend at the battle at Bristol against Virginia Tech. So
that'd be a good game.
That's another big game for them. The Volunteers are heading into.
Man, you know it's true. Yeah, you know it's true. Moving on to the team that Texas beat, Notre Dame dropped from 10 to 18, 8 spots total. Ole Miss, the unfortunate second half collapse in which they gave up the win there against Florida State. They dropped 8 spots from 11 to 19. Another team that is now ranked that was not, Texas A&M, coming off of their defeat of LSU.
You mean their victory?
I said their beat, and I said their defeat.
No, they're the victory over UCLA.
Well, I said the defeat of.
Oh, no, you said
UCLA.
Defeat of. No, you said LSU.
I'm sorry,
yeah.
UCLA.
Yeah.
Defeat of UCLA.
Yeah, there you go.
And then, now I was looking at LSU, who dropped from 5 to 21, and who's next in the countdown.
That is the biggest jump of the week right there.
That's the
biggest
drop.
I'm sorry. Biggest drop of the week.
That's okay. And I was wrong. We actually have 2 teams that stayed exactly where they were, so they're a total of 5. So Oklahoma State moved down 1 from 21 to 22. 23 and 24 stayed exactly the same, Baylor and Oregon. And then we have another team that entered the top 25, and that is Miami of Florida. That is the U.
The U is back in the top 25.
Yeah.
And so the most notable drops in the rankings.
Definitely LSU.
Dropping out of the whole entire top 25, that is UCLA, USC, North Carolina, and Florida. Those are the 4 teams that dropped out of the top 25. Do you see any of these 4 teams coming back into the top 25 poll? I can maybe see North Carolina, maybe Florida. I'm not so sure about USC and UCLA.
I could maybe see SC and UCLA getting back in, but it's going to be
a lot harder for them.
It's going to be
harder.
It's going to be hard to say the least.
It depends. Honestly, though, I think it depends on how they what.
Honestly, like, what are you lying?
Honestly,
Yeah.
No, it all depends on how UCLA and USC play against their other Pac-12 opponents, especially the ones that are ranked. So if they play well and happen to beat, let's say, Oregon, I don't know if any of them are going to defeat Stanford. They're just the best team in the conference.
Yeah, I think there's teams that can go toe-to-toe with them, but I don't know if there's teams that can beat them.
Yeah.
That's going to be a tough one. In my opinion, it's going to be a tough one. I mean, Stanford is playing
and plus, there's just so many
good ball, you know?
There's just so many good teams in other conferences, like in the SEC, ACC. There's so many good teams. And even in the Big 12, there's so many good teams that are simply better than most of the teams in the Pac-12.
Well, I guess we're going to have to wait and see exactly how it shapes out. I mean, again, these first few weeks of the poll are they're wacky. Let's say that's the least.
Honestly, the first 2-3 weeks are pretty wacky. I would agree with you on that. So I honestly, around October, I think that's when we see like where we know where these teams really are. Like, we know how they really are. Like, we'll have a better idea what kind of team Houston is. We'll definitely have a better idea about Texas, Georgia, Washington, and Stanford. Those are teams that I'm looking out here because Stanford always has a tough time. Washington, they make a huge jump, from 14 to 8.
That's another weird one. Beating Rutgers
after one game.
Yeah,
which I get. It was a huge blowout victory.
And
but
you got to have somebody fill the voids in which people dropped.
It was one game. But
Rutgers, come on. I'm not.
Don't get me wrong. Washington's a good team,
but Rutgers hasn't been good in a long time.
No, I know. Don't get me wrong. Washington is a good team with a lot of good talent, but they didn't defeat anybody. They blew them out 40 to 50 points. Yeah, I don't get that.
I forget what the score was, but it was big.
It was big.
It was big time.
It wasn't close. Let's just say that.
Big time.
And basically, I just don't know what Stanford has to do I just don't know what they have to do. They just didn't get no love.
They got to keep trying to win and hope some of these teams ahead of them lose.
I'm not going to lie. I was so high in Houston. You know how I am.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised they jumped all the way to 6.
I thought they'd maybe be at 10.
Me too.
All the way to 6?
10, 9, 8.
7, 6, 5,
honestly,
4, 3,
I think
2,
Stanford deserves to be ahead of them, in my opinion. They deserve to be, because Stanford has been consistent for so long. Past year, 2 or 3 years? 4 years, ever since the Jim Harbaugh era? They've been so consistent. But yeah, Houston, we barely found out about them late last year. So I don't know what Stanford has to do there.
They just got to hope the teams ahead of them lose. They got to hope that Michigan and Ohio State tie somehow, and Florida State loses, and Clemson stops playing football this year.
I don't know about Florida State losing. I don't know. DeAndre Francois looks really good. They got Dalvin Cook, one of the best running backs in college football, probably the second best. Could be maybe the best. We don't know how Leonard Fournette's going to play out.
Hey, whoa, and you're forgetting somebody.
Who am I forgetting?
The best running back in the Pac-12?
Oh, Christian McCaffrey. I consider him as the best college player.
But that would make him not the best college running back then?
No. Okay. No. Okay.
I think you just forgot.
No. Leonard Fournette is the best pure
running back. Okay.
Christian McCaffrey is the best college football player because
he does a lot.
McCaffrey can do more than just run. I don't know if Leonard Fournette can do most of the things that.
Well, he can catch a little bit, but McCaffrey can catch and run and return kicks.
Yeah, I don't think Fournette can do that. Fournette's more of a bruiser.
Sure is.
And Dalvin Cook, he can go. We've seen it. He can be involved in the passing game.
He's kind of like Ezekiel Elliott, where he's small, but he's like a bulldog. He'll run through you.
Yeah.
No, I get what you mean by that. Yeah. Leonard Fournette is the size of a smart car. So. Like he's almost as frightening of a human being.
He's the size of a Prius.
No, smart car.
Oh, okay.
He's almost like legitimately, like Derrick Henry frightens me because that dude is huge. He looks like a predator.
He looks like a defensive end.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He looks like Jadeveon Clowney, but he almost frightens me as much as Leonard Fournette would frighten me.
Dalvin Cook is smaller.
Yeah, Derrick Henry scares me.
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook's a little smaller, but he runs like Fournette does.
Yeah.
All three of them frighten me. I wouldn't want to tackle any of them.
Okay,
let's put it that way.
Okay.
Let's put it that way.
Let's put it that way.
Especially Derrick Henry. Right. God. That guy's... Oh, you remember Lendell White?
Yeah,
another guy
yeah,
who won.
former USC.
That's another
running
guy
back.
who won
He
tackle.
was the quote unquote backup to Reggie Bush back.
Yeah,
in the
he was
day.
the earth to his fire.
Yeah.
There was no wind.
Man,
though. Maybe
I was-
Leinart was wind.
Oh, dude, Liner was wind.
Because he was always throwing it up. That was a fun team.
It was a fun team. That's probably one of my favorite. I missed that team, dude. And Pete Carroll was a coach. And yeah, it was a fun team.
Yeah, man,
Fun
you
team
had a
to
lot
watch.
of people on that team. Steve Smith, former wide receiver for the Giants.
Yeah,
was
you
on
know
that team
what?
also.
That was.
Excuse
I
me.
think that was honestly the team that got me to watching college football. And Reggie Bush, I think, is a player that single-handedly got me into watching college football.
Well, I told you when I was younger, before I had any real stake in, like, until my brother went to Washington State, pretty much, and I ended up liking them as much as I do. I was pretty much a fan of USC because, I mean, who wasn't at that time? If you didn't grow up like a fan of like Notre Dame or a team or UCLA, a team that hates USC, so it was hard not to like watching them. You know?
Yeah, and well, before I actually started getting to USC, I was actually, don't get me wrong, I was a Fresno State Bulldog fan.
No, I know, yeah, because from where you're from,
Well,
I
not
like
only
the
that-
Bulldogs.
not
I
only-
went
not-
to a football camp my sophomore year of high school that was at Fresno, so I
Yeah.
always kind of kept. My
I'm
eye on
actually
them,
going
like,
to
ooh.
I'm actually going to the game to that stadium on Saturday when they play Sac State. And well, the reason why I was a Bulldog fan,
Well, you're from there.
well, one, I'm from there, and two, they were pretty good back in like when I was growing up too. They're kind of relevant, you know. They're a couple years away from they're a couple years removed from David Carr, Derek Carr's older brother. You know, he was a legend there in Fresno. I'm just telling you that right now. He made it.
Derek was even better, and if you look at it,
No, but David
he's
is
got all the records though.
Yeah, David is a legend in Fresno.
He was the first really, really good quarterback out of there.
He was, and remember, Trent Dilfer was also from there too. He was also really good at Fresno, even
Yeah.
though he
Didn't have the greatest NFL career.
he didn't have the greatest NFL career. But
He's got a great analysis career though. Dilfer's Dimes is one of my favorite things to watch.
actually, that's a really cool segment. I like
on
that.
Tuesdays, I think they do it.
I think Tuesdays or Monday nights. I don't know. No, it's Tuesdays. I think because
It's either Tuesdays or Mondays
because
they do it before.
Dilfer is at the Monday night games usually.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. But yeah, anyways,
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, David Carr is a legend in Fresno. I'm telling you that right now. But Derek Carr, he's going to be the better pro.
Well, I mean that's just his situation. You know, David got thrown into a position where he had to be the guy. He didn't have an offensive line. Didn't have any
I'm not
receivers.
gonna lie, I was scared for Derek Carr because he was going to the Raiders, and the Raiders were just
But
poorly-
they built
they're
that
poorly
thing,
run,
man.
but now they're building like a machine there. But anyways,
We won't get too far ahead.
yeah, all right.
We're gonna
well,
actually come back from the break and talk about fellow Raider division rival
yeah, Denver Broncos
defending Super Bowl champion Denver Broncos. So we'll take our break and we're gonna jump in and preview a real freaking football game.
It starts tonight, people.
Oh man, I'm so
Yeah.
excited. Are you gonna watch? You work?
Oh, I get off before the game,
What time do you work?
11 to 4.
Oh, we gotta get out of here then. We'll
Yeah.
finish the show and we'll get you going.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, you get off an hour and a half before. You get
Yeah.
home,
Mhm.
get changed,
Get-
take a
get
shower,
a six-pack.
sure if that's what you like. I'll be drinking my chocolate milk.
Oh, all right.
Woo! I mean, maybe not, but all right. Let's take our first break. As a matter of fact, take our first break. We'll come back. We'll talk NFL football here at the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Okay, welcome back to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. And guess what, guys?
What?
Football officially kicks off tonight. Officially, finally, football's back. Football's back.
Man, I'm excited. I'm excited. Game starts tonight, 5:30 Pacific time, 8:30 Eastern time, Denver, Colorado. Whew. We are back, baby. We've been talking about this for months, since April, since our first show when the draft hadn't even started yet.
From episode 1 to right now, episode 69, we are finally going to talk about football. Real, legit football games that count in the NFL.
As I said, the preseason's real football, but it doesn't count.
Well, because we talked about college football games too, but we're talking about NFL games that actually count now. So I'm pretty excited. Yeah. So what's the big thing about this game is the Denver Broncos are practically the same team except for one guy.
Well, they're practically the same team in a sense, except for one aspect, and it's the quarterback running back thing.
Except for one.
Yeah, Mr. Forehead's gone. Peyton Manning is no more. So Brock Osweiler's starting this game. Oh wait, no, he chose to go for the money, and he left.
He took the money and run.
Yeah, so now Trevor Siemian, former 7th-round pick, who spent the year last year learning from the likes of Peyton Manning and Brock Osweiler, beating out Mark Sanchez and first-round sensation Paxton Lynch to earn his starting spot. And I mentioned the running back position because Hillman got released, C.J. Anderson, and you got Devontae Booker, who remember I said he could be in for a nice little year there.
He could, yeah.
But yeah, man, you have. I'm interested in this game because the defenses. We know what comes from the defenses, and we'll get into the Panthers and what's different about them leading into this game too. But the Broncos defense is just as good, right? Presumably. Yeah,
pretty much everyone there is still intact.
Yeah, so some pieces left, but Malik Jackson's gone, Danny Trevathan gone, but they say they're in the position to just fill those spots, and continue rolling. So understandable, you still have the best rush linebacker in football in Von Miller. So you get it; it makes sense. Defense, right there. The offense, though. Even Peyton Manning, he's smart enough to play against these good defenses. Like he didn't have the arm, so that's why when you don't have the arm strength, you throw it 17 seconds before the guy turns around, so it's there at the same time as 2008 Peyton would have got it there. In that sense. Trevor Siemian, we're gonna have to see how he plays. We're gonna have to see if he can handle these defenses because he's starting against probably a top 3 unit week 1.
Yeah, and he's going to play his first official NFL game. And before we move on here, did you know Peyton Manning was on the roast of Rob Lowe on Comedy Central Monday?
Oh, because they both do DirecTV commercials?
Yeah, well, I think they kind of know each other.
I wouldn't be surprised. Peyton knows everybody.
Yeah.
They're going to have a roast of Peyton, and Papa John's is going to be like the ringleader. It's going to be like, hey, Peyton, you owe me all that money for that pizza I gave you,
I mean, no, it's because there's a joke. Damn, I forgot the guy's name. He's on Saturday Night Live, and
was he?
He was on that MTV show Guy Code.
He's on there right now currently?
He's on SNL right now. I forgot his name top of my head.
Michael Che.
No, he's on Paul Davidson. That's his
name.
name.
The young guy.
Yeah, that's his name. Paul Davidson.
He's only 20 years old.
Yeah. He was on the roast of
He's a funny kid.
Rob Lowe, and then the joke that I don't know. But
I feel like they get people that don't even know these people.
He talked about Peyton Manning. He's like, hey, Peyton Manning's here. He was one of the first players to be evolutionized to play the game without a helmet because his hair was so big.
I like that one. Now Peyton's been doing big stuff since he retired.
He did. Well, I kind of knew that. Well, he did commercials.
He's got the Peyton on Sunday morning. Have you seen the new one where he's sitting there eating? He's sitting there watching DirecTV. He's not eating yet. And he goes, hey Eli, because he calls Eli. He goes, hey E. He goes, I got the direct. He's all talking about. He's like, yeah, I know. Why? He goes, well, come on over. I'll make nachos. And he goes, I can't. I'm playing today. He goes, oh, that's right. Let me pencil you in for Tuesday. And he just writes, it's like vertical, it has the hours, and he just writes E-L-I, all big, It's like he's struggling to realize that he's retired now and nobody else is retired because all his friends play football still.
Dude, Peyton Manning has such a great career ahead of him.
He's got really good comedic timing.
Yeah, you know what? He has a great career ahead of him in advertising. I'll tell you that right now. Because he was doing commercials even during his playing days in Indianapolis. My favorite one from him, I don't want to get too out of track here, so this is my last Peyton Manning thing. There was one, I think it was for MasterCard.
Oh, yeah.
And this is for when he was with the Colts. And those little those MasterCard commercials, they have like a certain thing, and they say the price, and then the last thing, priceless.
Priceless, yeah.
Yeah, and then there's, I forgot any of the items were on the commercial, but the one thing I remember on it was that he was at a diner during breakfast time.
Please tell me it was the chicken parm one.
No.
Dang.
No,
He had one like that.
No,
where it
that
was like
was
chicken parm.
that was nationwide.
No, I'm saying he also had a commercial that was like chicken parm. He goes,
He's all chicken parm.
I love that
good.
one.
That's
chicken
nationwide.
parms are great.
But
no, I'm saying there's another commercial where they make fun of that commercial.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a commercial when he has. I guess you know how fans have the signs that says D, and then they actually have a fence.
Yeah.
Well, he's like decaf, decaf. I don't know why. That was my favorite one. But anyways, before we get too off track here, let's get into the Carolina Panthers here.
Yeah, no, I'd say I also really like when he hosted SNL.
Oh, that was
He did the Boys and Girls Club of America.
Oh.
Yeah. But let's not get too off track yet.
Oh, that was funny.
Let's move to the Panthers. Okay. So the Panthers, pretty much, I look at them as a team that went from being good to being better. The defense still arguably has the best front seven in football. You have the likes of Luke Kuechly, Thomas Davis. You have Shaq Thompson playing the linebacker positions. Not to mention you have Coney Ely, K'Wan Short, Star Lutu Lele from a few drafts ago in the first round, and Charles Johnson, all players who are very good at their respective positions, making up, I'd say, probably one of the best, if not the best front seven in football. You lost Josh Norman, obviously, but they say that they are in position to, that doesn't matter. So you have a defense that's still pretty much where it was, right? Then you have an offense that was great.
But they're getting better.
But they're getting better when they get Kelvin Benjamin back.
Exactly.
You got Kelvin Benjamin. You got somebody who, had a great rookie year before tearing his ACL last year. So you get him back, right? Pair him with Devin Funchess, who had a pretty decent rookie year.
Yeah, they both have really big, tall, strong bodies.
They can help one another because they can take targets or provide targets for one another in that sense, right? You have arguably one of the best underrated tight ends in football in Greg Olsen. You have somebody who can stretch the field if he can catch the ball in Ted Ginn Jr. And you have Jonathan Stewart, Fozzie Whitaker, these running back stables they have, not to mention the reigning MVP in Cam Newton. This team, if they played the level they played last year, is a scary team.
Yeah, it is definitely scary. I wouldn't be surprised if they happen to go back to the big game.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. No, I remember, I want to say it was 2012, maybe 2013. Maybe 2013. I think it was Jarvis Jones' rookie year. As a Steeler fan, they went to play a Monday night game in Carolina, and seeing the schedule, I was like, oh, win. It's like, should be a win, nice. And they ended up winning. That's not the case anymore with the Panthers. Like, I can't look at, I would look at them and go, oop,
yeah, they're not,
that's going to be a tough, probably going to lose that game. You know what I mean? It was like when I looked in 2011, whatever year that was, I went to the Steeler-Niner game, the Monday night game where the lights went out.
Yeah.
And that was the first really good year they had. They turned it around, That was like the real first solid year.
The Carolina Panthers?
No, the Niners, right?
Oh.
And I looked at them preseason, my mom, because that game was in October, a little bit after my birthday, and my mom is a Steelers fan too, so she's like, let's go. I'll get you tickets. I was like, cool. Not only do I get to go to a Steelers game, I get to see them win, because the Niners had won something like 7 games the year before, and the Steelers had won like 11 or something.
Yeah, I think they were both 10-3 at that point.
Yeah, and we went to that game, and by that point in the season, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And Ben had a bum ankle. It was 20-3 was the score of the game. Like, it was ugly, and not to mention the lights going out and stuff. But that's exactly how I feel about the Panthers now. They're just a team flip flop. I don't feel that way about the Niners anymore, but that's exactly how I feel about the Panthers. Is at a couple of seasons ago, I was like, oh, win. Now I'm like, oh, how many are they going to even lose? You know what I mean? Like, they only lost 2 games last year.
No, they lost
3 games.
They lost 1. Carolina Panthers lost 1 game. They went 15-1.
Oh, so they won the Super Bowl then, Jeremiah?
No, they went 15-1.
So they lost 2 games.
Oh, you're talking
That's
about
what I'm saying, overall.
For overall.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They only lost 2 games.
Oh, they talk about regular season.
No, I'm sorry. That wasn't very specific. They lost 2 games of all the way, And that's, they're a scary team. They really are. They're a sound team. They're probably one of the most complete teams in football. Offense, defense, special teams. They're scary. They really are.
Yeah,
somebody's going to have to figure them out.
Honestly, I have a hard time figuring out who is the most balanced team in the NFL.
They are very balanced. The Cardinals are very balanced.
It's the Cardinals and
Patriots,
Panthers. I can't decide who is the best team in the NFC. Like, I know the Panthers won the Super Bowl last year, but I can easily think Arizona can make that jump to finally making the big game, which.
We're finally making it again.
Well, I To be honest, I actually have Arizona Cardinals in the Super Bowl this year.
Do you know?
Yes, I do. And in the AFC in the Super Bowl, I'll get to that later at the end of the show. But anyways, yeah, the thing about the Carolina Panthers, they're even more scarier than they are or they were last year.
Mm-hmm. It's like pick your poison. You know what I mean? It's like a few years ago with the Colts. When Peyton Manning was still there, and it's like, who are you going to guard? Or the Steelers, if their offense was fully healthy, it's like, okay, you're going to double guard Antonio Brown. Well, now you have Martavis on the other side, and you have Wheaton in the slot, and who's going to cover Le'Veon? And it's the same thing with them. Is you're going to have to eventually. People are going to have to try to double guard Kelvin because he can get up. The way he can play, we saw him in his rookie year. The way he plays the ball, it's insanely good, right? And then, okay, well, who's you're going to put, a safety and a corner on him? Well, if you have Ted Ginn in the slot, he's faster than all linebackers. Even Ryan Shazier, who's the fastest linebacker in the league, he's faster than him, so he can outrun them. So you have to figure out how you want to guard them. And then you have the option. So if you're running the same kind of formation with those guys, and you run a few plays where you have to really work on how you're going to guard all those guys, not to mention Funchess and Greg Olsen, who's more athletic than plenty of linebackers out there. Who's going to account for the option? Who's going to account for Cam Newton running? It's like, what do I have to do? You know what I mean?
Who's going to guard?
It's a nightmare every week for the opposing defensive coordinator.
Yeah, and Calvin Benjamin, I think he's going to be limited in this game because he is working his way back from the ACL.
I'm still playing him on a fantasy team though.
I would too. If I had him on my fantasy team, I would play him no doubt.
Because
he's a guy.
You got to. They want to ease him into it, but they're also going to be like, get him in there, man. He's like
like one of those unbenchable players in fantasy. But I don't want to get too far off.
I benched him all last year. What?
He wasn't even on a team last year. Okay.
He was on a team last year, the Panthers.
No, I mean like on a fantasy roster.
No, I doubt it. Unless somebody had the earliest draft in the history of fantasy drafts.
Oh, and they just didn't care about playing after that.
My dad did draft somebody that the preseason before we drafted, he got injured for the entire year. I forget the guy's name. It was a lower player. He was a receiver. And I was like, that guy's hurt, man. That guy just tore his ACL. He's like, what? Son of a... And he's all mad, I was laughing at him. I was like, oh, sucks. You got to release him.
Yeah,
might as well just draft somebody later and then release him to pick up a kicker or something.
That's what I do. I don't draft kickers. Dude.
I do because in my league, in the fantasy Yahoo leagues, they can really make a difference. You get a good one. Get Hauschka. I got Boswell this year because the Steelers are going to score a lot of points. They might not always kick the extra point, but he pretty much the reason why I got him is because he only came in the league last year. I don't know, made his first 4 attempts all from 45 yards plus. He only missed 2 field goals all year. Dude was money, so I got him because high octane offense. Same reason why people draft Gostowski. Patriots score a lot of points.
Gostowski. In my money league, he went really early, and I couldn't believe. I'm like, really?
Hauschka went early in my league. I got 20 points 3 times from Hauschka last year.
I get that, but it's like, dang, man, how are you going to go that early for a kicker when you can get someone valuable? Don't get me wrong, kickers are valuable in fantasy, but come on. You can get a role player that can easily be a sleeper in late rounds. But anyways, I don't want to get too far trapped here for fantasy.
Yeah, this isn't the fantasy football show.
No, this isn't. This is the football show.
And it's reality, and guess what?
This is the reality football
NFL
show.
starts tonight.
Yes, real football, guys.
Man,
So who you got winning the game tonight?
I got the Panthers winning tonight because I just don't know how this Broncos offense is going to look. I really don't.
And then I got a fun fact. This is the first Super Bowl rematch played on kickoff weekend since 1970.
Yeah, I was saying that on the sports show. I was like, I'm pretty sure this is one of the first rematches.
This doesn't happen a lot.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think this happens very often.
Yeah.
Who do you have winning?
I have to go with the Panthers, man. I don't know what I'm going to expect from Trevor Siemian.
Mm-hmm.
I don't expect him to light it up, and if he does, I'll be surprised, and then I'll probably talk about it on Friday.
Yeah, I say if any defense can do it, it's the Broncos.
It's the Broncos. But honestly, though, if the Broncos win, it's probably going to be a defensive struggle.
It'll be a lower scoring game. I can see that.
Scoring game. But honestly, though, I don't see the Panthers blowing out Denver because of the Broncos' defense, but I do have Panthers winning a close one.
All right. Yeah. Well, obviously, I'll be gone tomorrow, just as I was last Friday, but Jeremiah will discuss this game tomorrow.
Ben and I will discuss it.
Yeah, they're going to give you guys the whole recap on the first game of the NFL year.
As well as previewing
all the Sunday games.
Slate of games.
Yeah, and then I'll be back on Monday with Jeremiah to literally unleash everything you can imagine from the games
from
this
Sunday,
weekend.
and we're gonna look forward to the Monday night games, a doubleheader, baby.
Yeah, man. Steelers football's back.
By the way, what are you gonna do for the Monday night game?
Steelers games, typically, I literally sit on my couch and watch.
Okay, well,
the reason I know so much about football is because for years I would sit on my couch, I'd watch, I'd rewind things. I just absorbed it all. So if the Steelers were ever in the Super Bowl, people were like, oh, I used to go to my buddy's house every year for the Super Bowl. And last year he came over, but he had some stuff he had to take care of. If the Steelers are playing in the Super Bowl, there's no way I'm leaving my house. I don't. I've never left my house for a Steelers Super Bowl.
I am actually going to Twin Peaks in Sacramento.
Yeah.
It's like the new restaurant.
Yeah.
Sacramento. So
I've heard of it.
I'm actually going there for the Niners and Rams game, but I'm probably going to go earlier during the Steelers and Washington Redskins game, because if I go before the Niners and Rams game, it's going to be packed. So I'm going to
There's a lot of Steelers fans around here.
Exactly. So I'm going to go a little earlier.
There's a Steve's Pizza in Elk Grove where I live.
Yeah.
That is like every Sunday it's just like Steelers heaven.
Wow.
It's like the Steelers fans just rent it out. Like there's that many there. But yeah, man, I'm psyched. I'm psyched
too. But
all right,
anyways,
let's move on. We're gonna take our last break. Come back and we're gonna do our new segment.
Yeah, the final drive.
Yeah. So we're gonna be right back at the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. Don't go anywhere because you're gonna get the final drive.
Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
Welcome back to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, and we got one more segment for you guys. We have a new one, actually.
Mm-hmm.
In case you guys listened to any of our shows a couple months ago, we had a new segment called the 2-minute drill. It went okay, I like to think, but we decided to modify that, Alex and I, into a segment called the Final Drive, which is going to be a compilation of compilation. I can't even say that word.
It's okay. Compilation. I got you.
Compilation.
I got you covered,
of
partner.
stories that we didn't get to cover this week or news that just broke today. Instead of spending 10 minutes on one story, we're going to spend 10 minutes, possibly 10 minutes, on maybe 2 to 3 stories.
Yeah, we got 3 today.
And we got a big one that broke today.
We did.
Okay.
Came out last night, but wasn't really announced until today.
Yeah.
Like it happened last
I
night,
actually talked about it on my baseball show, but it became
not the wrong team, though.
The wrong team. It was the wrong team. But, yes, former NFL quarterback and Heisman Trophy winner Tim Tebow has signed a minor league contract with the New York Mets.
He went from the Jets to the Mets.
Yeah, he's still in New York, man. Still in New York.
Even though he was, I think, what was the last team he was on?
I think it was the Patriots. No, Philadelphia. I think it was Philadelphia.
Yeah, he was on. Yeah, he was during training camp. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, people forget that he was on the Patriots, I think.
And the Eagles too.
And the Eagles, yeah, people forget. Well, it's because he was cut during the
He was barely on the. Yeah, he's barely on the same thing with the Eagles.
Yeah, so people forget about those two teams. People know about the Jets though.
Yeah, people remember the Jets.
People remember the Jets, but yeah. Anyways, man, yeah, I said this on the baseball show. I think Tim Tebow, I think he belongs in the NFL. If he wasn't so selfish and actually changed positions, he would have been on an NFL roster right now.
Well, I mean, you think about it, and you train your whole life to do one thing, right? To be a quarterback like he did.
Yeah, but
are you gonna want to have somebody tell you no? You know, I understand his determination.
No. I understand it too, but it's like if you really love the game of football,
maybe he doesn't.
That's right. Maybe he doesn't. If you really love the game of football, then you would do anything in your power to make sure you're in the NFL playing football. Tebow could have easily been I wouldn't say gimmick player, but he could have been a very good role player. He could have ran the ball. He could have threw it in certain packages. Mm-hmm. Could have been a fullback, tight end, but no, he didn't want to do it. He wanted to be a quarterback, a position he can't even play at the next level.
I explained it in a good way to Ben on our sports show. I said if Tim Tebow was his age right now or younger, in the 50s and the 60s, dude would have been the best football player in America.
Oh, by far.
He was made for that kind of playing. He could have played them all because he wouldn't have been told to play something else. He could have played all of them. He could have been a running back. He could have been a Frank Gifford of his time. He could have been one of those guys that played all over the place. He could have been a running back and a kicker, and he could have been a quarterback. Because they didn't throw that well back then either. So it's not like he would have been that out of place.
Well,
you have guys that can throw a football and hit a cone off of a dude's head with a toothpick in its mouth, and you have Tebow who can maybe hit the grass if he throws it hard enough. Like he would have been, he would have been one of those guys. He was playing football in the wrong time. He was the epitome of a college football quarterback, probably the greatest college football quarterback of all time in that aspect.
He was a product of a good system too.
Very much so, but unfortunately, couldn't make it in the NFL.
Don't get me wrong. Tim Tebow has the talent to be an NFL player, but he doesn't have the talent to be an NFL quarterback. We'll see how his baseball career goes. I think he's expected to go to the Instructional League or Arizona Fall League later on. And he did say he wanted to go to winter ball and get some at-bats before going to spring training next year. So we'll see how Tebow's baseball career goes. And something I did read on Twitter is that Tebow's has the same agent as the following Mets players. I think Jacob deGrom, Syndergaard, forgot his first name for some reason. Noah Syndergaard. Yeah, he has the same agent as those guys. So it's it's a coincidence.
Well, that helps. A lot of big time agents obviously take on a lot of people.
Oh, and Giannis Cespedes too.
Oh, Giannis. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, hey, maybe that was meant to be then.
Maybe we'll see.
Maybe that attributed to it.
If anyone can, if anyone can handle the New York media, it can be Tim Tebow. We'll just say that.
We saw it already once with the Jets. Who knows if he handled it well or not?
The New York media is going to have a fun time with Tebow again.
No.
Oh yeah. But anyways, moving on.
Moving on to number 2, Drew Brees, quarterback of the New Orleans Saints, longtime quarterback of the New Orleans Saints, has agreed to an extension with $44.25 million guaranteed. Yeah, it's an extension for the next 2 years. So he'll be getting a $30 million signing bonus, like I said, $44.25 million guaranteed over the next 2 years, and he gets more than $20 million in 2016. So it's a 5-year contract that avoids down to 2 years and has a no trade clause pretty much. They lowered his salary cap for this year, his hit for this year, and it's pretty much what both sides wanted, He was quoted saying, like I always said, these contract situations are just part of the process. Both sides are very happy. Certainly, I'm very happy. I want to play my entire career here. I'll be here as long as they want me.
Yeah, and remember, Brees was also entering the final year of his contract.
Yeah, that's why people are like, well, it's such a big deal that Drew Brees got a new contract. It's because he was entering his final year. Yeah. There was a very much like, is it time for them to just blow it and draft a quarterback next year? So on and so forth.
Honestly, I would have loved if the Saints would have drafted Dak Prescott. I would have loved that.
Well, instead
the Cowboys got him now.
The Cowboys got him.
And he is their quarterback of the future. I believe so.
Do you want to know the connection right there?
Sure.
Sean Payton used to be an assistant for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Not like a connection like that's why they draft. Hey, there's your Cowboy Saint connection.
Hey, there you go.
Sean Payton. He was an assistant under why can't I think of his name?
Bill Parcells.
Phil Parcells. Thank you. Yeah, I forgot Big Fish's name.
Yeah. How you gonna forget his name, man?
I just couldn't think of it. Yeah. It was I got so many football names in my brain, man. Sometimes I just forget. But anyway, Brees was entering, like he says, last year of his contract. He turns 37 years old this year. He's been the quarterback, probably the most successful, obviously, of their Saints history, in the Saints history there, other than Archie Manning, and Archie Manning didn't win Super Bowls, so I'd say Drew Brees is the most notable.
And Drew Brees said, throughout the summer he would not continue negotiations to the regular season, so it's a good time that they got it done before the first game of the week. Great time. And it's good for the Saints, too. It's good for Saints because who else are you going to play a quarterback next year?
Josh McCown. No, sorry, Luke McCown.
Luke McCown, the guy that has a commercial, actually. Huh.
Yeah, I love his commercial.
Yeah,
he goes, I think the backups could do just as good. I thought that was a really funny commercial.
Honestly, that was very well thought of.
Yeah, I was like, man.
I like that. I was very impressed. That was very good marketing. Mm-hmm. Very good. I was very impressed by that. But anyways, moving on to our final story of the day. Yeah, Colin Kaepernick, 49ers quarterback, said he's going to donate his proceeds of the jersey sales, which have skyrocketed.
Yeah, more in the last 2 weeks than in the last 8 months combined.
Since then, he says he's going to donate all his proceeds from jersey sales to charity, which is huge. This is I think a couple of days after he says he's going to donate his first $1 million of his salary to a lot of charities and communities as well. So this is huge for Colin Kaepernick. I am loving what he is doing off the field. He's not doing anything on the field as of yet, but I just love what he's doing off the field.
At least he's letting it go to the right place. You know, people are saying that he's being selfish in the sense of doing what he did because all you're doing is choosing to do something that's, you know, you're not taking a stand for anything. You're not, you know, you're just like everybody else that says, oh, we hope there's a fix to this. You know, all you're doing is being another person to say you're not doing anything. And now he's coming out and he's donating his money and so forth. So that's nice to see. It really is. Yeah, I think he should keep some of the money and get a haircut.
Really
as I told you before.
You really don't like his. What's wrong with the fro, man?
It's too big. It's too big and he's too skinny now. He looks weird. He looks like a lollipop. Like, it's creepy. It creeps me out. I mean, by all means, like, I like it for the most part, but how do you even get your helmet on your head?
Oh my gosh, I can't with that. Oh my gosh, that was
how do you even fit his helmet on his head? I don't get it.
Oh wow.
Oh, you like that, huh?
Oh wow. I don't know how I'm gonna move on from that. Oh wow.
I'll help you. I was just say, funny enough too. Somebody interviewed him, and he's like, the guy is funny. He came out in his post. He goes, "Everybody, you know, I just want to ask Colin a simple football question because you know no one's asking football questions."
No, you know
and
what
so
though?
Hold on, I would say the guy asked him. He goes, "How's it feel being a backup?" And I logged this. I was listening to KMBR this morning, which is the Bay Area sports channel. I logged this under the same thing they logged under: stupid questions with unrealistic answers. He said, "How do you feel about being a backup again?" And he goes, "Well, last time I was in the situation, we went to the Super Bowl, so."
Yeah, I did see that.
I was like, "Come on, be realistic."
I honestly though, I get where I'm actually glad that came out because
you guys aren't even going to the Puppy Bowl.
You want I was actually glad that.
Let me hear why.
I saw that. I saw a couple of 49er beat writers tweeted out that quote yesterday, and I was like, finally. A football-related tweet about Colin Kaepernick. Yes, finally.
Besides him being named backup.
Yes. Well, I get where he's coming from. But honestly, though, Cap, that was a different team you were on, all right?
Yeah, that was a good team, Cap. That was a good team,
That was a totally different team that you were on.
And you didn't – the starter got hurt. You were regulated to a backup role this time because you can't play football.
Yeah.
So – you got beat out by somebody who's a bust.
But to his credit, he did get hurt last year, quote unquote, got hurt, and then wasn't recovering from surgery, so they didn't have a lot of time.
But still, take that job back.
To be fair, though, he didn't have a lot of time. But I do get it.
Yeah, but he spent his entire offseason asking to be traded. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Well, we don't know that, but
come on, son.
But anyways, I can't get over that lollipop comment.
Thanks.
But yeah, you know, back to what I was saying about Colin Kaepernick. I just love what he's doing off the field, and it kind of really makes me root for him to be great again on the field. You know, I think I tweeted that out yesterday, and that's all I can say. In a couple of, he's getting a lot of mainstream support. J. Cole is wearing his jersey. Trey Songz's been wearing his jersey. You know, we got a lot of
those are rappers. For people who don't know,
Trey Songz is an R&B singer.
He's an artist.
J. Cole is an artist, though. Dude, J. Cole was awesome.
We are not getting into this.
I know we're not. We're getting way too off track here. This isn't a music podcast. I'll leave that for Keith and Jordan.
Okay, good call.
Okay, but anyways, yeah, that's all I'm gonna say, man. I love what he's doing off the field, and honestly, I'm hoping to be great again on the field because if he's doing this,
of course you are,
and he's really relevant again, then it's even more. It's going to leave more of an impact of the cause that he's fighting for. Yeah. But anyways, that's all I have to say.
Okay. Well, hey, I liked the segment. We'll have to do it more.
Yeah. You know what, dude? We should do that every Thursday.
Okay.
Let's do it every. I think it's going to be a weekly thing, people. Every Thursday.
I can dig it. All right. Yeah. So, like I said, I'm not back tomorrow, but Jeremiah will be here. He'll be recapping what should be a great kickoff night here in the NFL. I can't wait to talk to you guys about it on Monday. And, of course, Jeremiah and I will both recap a good weekend of football.
And we're going to be previewing Monday night.
Amazing night of football.
Yeah.
But as always, you can, if you miss my voice tomorrow, you can find us and find more episodes of me on GSMC. GSMCpodcast.com. With our network, there's the football shows that Jeremiah and I do, obviously. The sports shows that Ben and I do. And then even if you like soccer, get in there too. GSMC Soccer Podcast. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play at the same name I just said, GSMC Sports Podcast. You can find us on YouTube as well if you search that, and Facebook, Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, GSMC Football Podcast. Don't forget to check us out on iTunes and Instagram as well at the handle GSMC_football. That is GSMC_football. I'd like to thank you guys for listening. I'll be back on Monday.
I will be back tomorrow.
Yeah, so thank you guys. I'll miss you. I'll see you on Monday.
I won't.
You won't. So I'll say catch you on the flippity flip right here. Jeremiah, you can say it tomorrow.
Okay.
Bye, guys.